Hello YouTube, this is Froogle and welcome back to part 3, the third and final part of our fully loaded first impressions look at FS2Crew's NGX Reboot. We just reached top of climb. We don't have a lot of time until top of descent on this short hop from Jersey to Gatwick, so we're going to go ahead and start setting everything up. Let's look at the Navigraph charts first of all for Gatwick. Runway 26 left. You can see a number of things here. Our minimums here is 570 feet. Our initial approach fix altitude is 2,000 feet, transition altitude is 6,000, and our final course is going to be 259. Let's go ahead and set all this stuff up, and the ILS by the way is 110.9. Let's go ahead and set all that up right now back in the sim, and then we can work through the briefing. So, radio is going to be on 110.9. It's going to have that on both sides. 0.9, there we go. We'll set our course, our final course, which is going to be 259 degrees. We'll do that on my side. I can tell him to do it on his side. I'm not going to. I'll do it for him for now. Just to keep things a little bit simple. He went to 260. Let's go back to 259 if we can. It might snap. Like so. Let's bring up the CDU here. And let's go ahead and set our descent. And our forecast, our transition altitude is, looking at the chart, once again down the bottom right, 6,000 feet. 6, 1, 2, 3. Done. Let's set in our minimums now. So minimum is going to be barometric, and it's going to be 570. So we'll just dial this down to 570. In fact, we'll reset that. There we go. And then go down to 570. We're rapidly approaching top of descent. I need to get a hurry up. So bring up the secondary panel now. Go to the approach here. It is a star. It's going to be an ILS, flaps 30 landing. Bleeds will be on. Final approach fixed altitude is going to be 2,000 feet. Minimums 570. Missed approach altitude is going to be 2,500 feet. No, I think it's 2,000 feet. I gotta hurry up. 2,000 feet there. Runway condition is dry. Auto brake level 2. I think as the ECT is required, we'll leave that on. It's not going to be a single engine taxi, which is a new feature of FS2Crew NGX Reboot. You can do single engine taxis. APU is going to be delayed start. There are no concerns. It is not, well, it actually is the final set. So we'll say yes and play the brief.
Are you ready for the approach brief? Okay. The arrival routing will be via the ATC assigned star, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions. For an ILS approach, planning a flaps 30 landing. Final approach fixed altitude is 2,000 feet. Decision altitude is 570 feet. Missed approach altitude is 2,000 feet. Taxi route in will be assigned by ATC. We'll be arriving at a gate. We'll use the APU, but please delay the start until my command as we have a long taxi. Descent speeds and navigation radios are set. Airport modems have been reviewed. Any questions, comments, or concerns? No questions. Approach brief complete.
Let's start setting up for the descent.
Check.
I do need to make sure my V speeds are in here. Let's try that again. So we're going to go flaps 30, it's 147. Done. Descent checklist, please.
Descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing altitude is 5,000 feet. Recall checked. Auto brake level 2. Landing data.
VREF 147, minimums 570 feet.
VREF 147, minimums 570 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist complete.
Alright, now we're all good. I can mute this again. A little bit rushed because it's such a short flight from Jersey to Gatwick. There's the Isle of Wight already. Gatwick is just about there. So we got everything done, we've done the briefing, we set the aircraft up. I think we haven't missed anything. He's gone ahead and set all his stuff up. You see auto brake level 2 has been set over here, for example. As soon as we hit top of descent, the aircraft will start descending because we've already authorized the descent down to 2,000 feet. There are constraints, obviously. on the approach, and we will hold those constraints, or actually the autopilot will. No issues there. Let's just make sure our heading is all synced up here. Heading 042.
Checked.
And we're all good. Let's wait for the aircraft to start descending. Alright, so we've started our descent now. Let's look at the navigation display here. You can see a deceleration point after GWC, and we already had an FMC warning that's going to come up again and again and again saying drag required. We'll put the speed brakes out there. You can descend with the speed brake out. That's what it's there for. You just need to make sure it's configured when you're on final and on the approach to the runway. Let's go ahead and look at the EFB very quickly. So we are en route. We're not actually into the arrival, or are we? We're actually into the arrival portion right now. There we go. Have a tailwind slightly from the left here. So that's going to be a nose wind or headwind once we land, which is exactly what we want. Everything's looking good. Just about to cross over the edge of the southern edge of the Isle of Wight. Everything so far is looking really, really quite lovely. Now, a number of people have said on my videos I talk too fast. There are certain instances where I kind of have to, as you just saw, but I am trying to be a little bit more cognizant of how fast I speak and slow it down when I can. Having said that, I'm sure throughout everything up to this point I've been pretty damn rapid, so I apologize if you're not an English speaker and sometimes have a problem. Anyway, in the old FS2Crew, there was a weird thing when you hit the transition altitude where he would call out, or you would call out transition altitude, he would call out the barometric pressure, you would read it back, he would read it back. That doesn't happen anymore. He's going to say transition altitude when we hit it and read out the pressure. We don't say anything until we hit the approach checklist, at which point we'll confirm that. Now, having just said that, I just remembered something I've got to do. Oh, yes. Let's go and speak to ATIS, or listen to ATIS at Gatwick and get our barometric pressure.
Echo, Golf, Kilo, Kilo, airport information, Lima, 0820, Zulu, weather, wind, 230, at 8, visibility, 10, sky condition, 2,400, scattered, temperature, 182.12, QNH, 1021, advise on initial contact, you have information, Lima, Echo, Golf, Kilo, Kilo.
Alright, so 1021, which I think I just said. We'll confirm that in a second when I stop him talking. 1021. Everything here is all set. Our ref feeds are all set in. We're going to be obviously approaching at VREF plus 5. 147 plus 5 is 152 knots.
Roger.
Detune the navs.
Set. Roger.
He actually did. Look at that. Cancel that last command. Cancel that last command.
Roger.
That's a problem with FS2Crew. It kind of ran away with me a bit there. Not a problem for us. Let's go back, look at the charts. I think it's 110.9. We'll just make sure we have those all dialed in once again. That's an awkward command to misinterpret. 110.9. Okay, let's try that once again, shall we? My goodness, 110. And I do wish FS2Crew was a little more intelligent. Like, detuning those things after they're already set for the approach doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It would be nice to have my pilot actually monitor and say, that's not a good idea, Captain. But it doesn't matter. We know how to reset them. 110.9, 110.9. Good. And down we go, approaching 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet is actually going to be at GWC. That's why it wants us to throw out the drag at that point and slow down. Otherwise, we're going to be lingering above 10,000 feet for way too long. Notice we need to be at 4,000 at Astra. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. We're already above our speed. We're set down here. We're at 286. We could realistically put the drag out right now. In fact, I think I will. So, slowly increasing the speed brake towards the flight to 10, so the autopilot can retrim as necessary. Heading 087. Heading 087.
Checked.
Let's change the range down on that navigation display. Speed is still high, but starting to come down now. It's the southern coast of England, pointing directly at Shoreham and Brighton at this point. I know that, of course, because I'm looking at the EFB. Here we are here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Handy display there showing us Goodwood VOR on 114.75. If we wanted to tune to that, we could. As a backup. Back into the sim. Now what I haven't done, and I kind of probably should, is use the PA and notify the cabin that we are descending. It's too late to do that now, but just to demonstrate how that works, I will do it. So PA, let's say top of descent.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, we'll begin our descent to your destination here in just a moment. On behalf of the flight crew and staff, I wanted to thank you for flying with us today, and I hope that you choose us for all your flying needs in the future. Thank you.
So there you go. Handy little call outs over the PA that you can do. And of course,
Prepare for landing.
when we do our longer flight, with probably with SOP3, I'll do the ubiquitous FS2Crew ordering coffee trick, which is hilarious. Alright, so speed is down now. I'm going to leave the drag out. We have got a pretty steep descent coming up. It is a bit noisy in the back. With those spoilers, speed brakes hung out, but that's okay. Nice tailwind now, 25 knots. This is why you can see the nose bouncing a little bit. That tailwind obviously not helping our speed requirements at this point. Now we're going to call out the approach checklist as we pass through the transition altitude of 6,000. Not much happens in that, other than just confirming barometric pressure. So to prepare, let's bring back SOP1. Here it is. Really nothing to do here, other than that. And then we're into shooting the approach. Let's reset the heading a little bit. Heading 090.
Checked.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their upright position. Make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened and all carry-on luggage is stowed underneath the seat in front of you or an overhead bin. Please turn off all electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gate. Thank you.
Now it's been a little while since I landed a 737 NGX on a video manually, so give me some slack if it doesn't go too well. Oh, bouncy nose. Alright, we are beginning to intercept that vertical path now, and our speed is looking good. So I'm going to bring the speed brake back in now. Again, slowly, so the autopilot can retrim and respond as necessary. I'm going to watch that speed though. Don't want to break the speed limit. We are going to be given some leeway. You can go a couple of knots over if necessary, especially with a tailwind like we've got. And we're looking to hit the Astra constraint there at 4,000. Let's see how we do. Watching the speed still. Doing all right so far. Might need a teeny bit of speed brake just to keep us under 250 if necessary, which I think is going to be now. So bringing out the speed brake once again. Not all the way this time. Just enough.
Transition level. Altimeters reset. 1, 0, 2, 1.
Approach checklist.
Altimeters.
1021 set.
1, 0, 2, 1. Set. Approach checklist complete.
A little bit more speed brake now. That speed is coming up. Resetting the altimeters showed us to be higher than... Oh, I gotta keep muting that thing. Resetting the altimeters showed us to be considerably higher than we thought we were.
Flight deck. Okay, thanks. Captain, the cabin is secure.
Thank you. Now looking at our checklist over here, or our tutorial, everything looks good. When the glide slope comes alive, that's when we go gear down flaps 15. Now notice that's a difference as well. If we scroll further up, you go flaps 1, flaps 5, then flaps 15, and then straight away flaps 30. So you kind of miss stuff, which ties in with what my pilot friend was telling me actually the other day, that you don't typically go through each individual stage of flaps. You know, on the approach you can skip some as long as the speeds are good. So we will be doing that. Obviously not going to do anything with the flaps until we start hitting the flap speed limits. We're at 4,000. We are going to level off right about now, so speed brake back up. Starting a turn here. Let's reset the heading once again. Heading 085.
Checked.
Heading 041.
Checked.
We'll just monitor the aircraft now. We are very close. Obviously Gatwick is pretty much to our left. It's around about there. There even. Going to be flying into UK 2000's Gatwick Extreme version 3. Scenery outside the window here is Flight 1's UTX Ultimate Terrain Euro version 2 and Orbex FTS Global. Clouds are Rex Soft Clouds and Rex 4 Texture Direct is also being used. Going to change the range, get a better view here. We've got a deceleration point coming up. Keeping the speed up in the approach as much as possible. Many long-term viewers know I am really bad at slowing down way too early. I'm going to try not to. Although the NGX, as many of you know, is a very slippery beast. Let me just go back and check our tutorial here. So glide slope is that one. One command. So gear down on flaps 15. One command once the glide slope comes alive. Glide slope capture, we go there, and then the landing checklist. I always get the order of these things all kinds of messed up. I'm going to try not to. Notice as well in the tutorial here, they're saying things like, if the autopilot is not engaged, speak, blah, blah, blah. You'll find that actual pilots, even when they're not flying with the autopilot, will still set, as I said in the MCP, things like the heading, but also the speed, because it shows up on the flight director as handy cues that they can try to match with their flying. We are going to leave the autopilot on, obviously, until we're established. And then we'll do the manual landing, which I hope goes well. We'll see. There's going to be, it looks like a slight crosswind over at Gatwick. Let me look at the EFB and see if we can get a clue there. Ever so slight. See, we have a tailwind right now. There's the actual wind direction on us. So it might be ever so slight crosswind as we come in. See how we do. Beautiful scenery, absolutely beautiful. Nice ground shadowing and the clouds in the sky. That's a feature of Prepared. Somebody asked me in the last video, how do I do the shadowing? Is it Steve's DirectX 10 fixer? No, this is Prepared. This is Lockheed Martin's Prepared, which I prefer filming in just because it looks better, but that doesn't mean to say I'm not doing FSX videos anymore. Only a couple of series ago, it was an FSX video with the NGX, so expect more FSX videos to come. To be honest, FSX has a lot going for it if you're a YouTuber, most predominantly performance. FSX Steam Edition it's actually very fast, and you can get some really good performance, which comes off great in videos. Anyway, getting close now. Getting very close indeed. Now I do know he's going to call out final approach fix, so we just say checked for that. Okay, we're good. I'm not going to need to call out set missed approach altitude because the altitude we have set in currently is the missed approach altitude. Now because the autopilot is on, I need to be clicking these buttons. If the autopilot was off, he would do it. So once the VOR comes alive, then I will arm VOR localizer, not him. Let's reset our heading. Heading 003.
Checked.
And as we make this final turn, I'm probably going to stop talking to you so much so I can just leave hard mute off and concentrate on managing the aircraft. Again, not really into the whole sterile cockpit thing. It's a desktop sim. It's effectively a game, but don't tell Lockheed Martin. But even so, I've got a lot to do and I don't really want to mess up. Incidentally, a little behind the scenes note for you. I don't really want to mess up, because when I mess up I tend to record the whole video again. So, you know, this is about my 4th or 5th time because of missing things. I'm sure I've still missed stuff. Thank you. Checked. I'm sure I've still missed stuff, but every time I do, I tend to restart the whole flight. And although it's a short flight, there's still an hour and a half, including setup, to go again. So that's why I'm going to try to be quiet. Alright, here we go.
Cabin crew, take your seats.
A little bit of speed brake, I'll bring it in a second. Just to get down to our flap speeds, and hard mute can go off now. Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Just waiting for now for the glide slope. Flaps 5. Whoops. Flaps 5.
Flaps 5. Fine approach fix. Height checked. Missed
Checked.
approach altitude set.
Gear down, flaps 15.
Gear down. Flaps 15. Speed brake up.
Flaps 30.
Flaps 30.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Engine start switches.
Continuous.
Speed brake.
Armed.
Landing gear.
Down, green light. Down.
Flaps.
Flaps 30, green light.
Landing checklist complete.
Alright, we're all good. When we hit 1,000, then I'll take control. Let's set our V-speed in here. Now the aircraft is actually configured right now to auto land. We've got Command A, Command B. We are established on the ILS and the glide slope, but we're not going to. We'll try to do it the hard way. Good luck, Froogle. I have control.
You have control.
Approaching 26 left.
Feet.
Checked.
Approaching
Stable.
minimums.
Continue.
Check.
Minimums.
Ground visible. Runway.
Landing.
Check.
down.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal. Auto brake disarmed.
Checked.
4,000
60
feet
knots.
remaining.
Checked.
Check.
Okay to clean up.
Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your
And we're
seatbelt
down.
fastened until the captain turns off the fasten seatbelt sign.
So that's that. That's our return trip from Jersey to Gatwick. I'm not going to do the whole taxi to the gate and shutdown. There's not much different actually on SOP1 in NGX Reboot for the shutdown than there was in the previous one, other than the fact you could do a turnaround fairly easily. I'm not going to worry about that on this video. You don't really want to see that, I'm sure. If you do though, leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know that you do, and I'll be sure to make sure I do that in future videos. As always, my name is Froogle. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.